Several people went camping overnight and late in the evening stumbled upon a forester's lodge. It's scary in the woods at night, so we went in. Over tea, the forester, a strong elderly man, began to tell stories. Well, what can I tell you? It's dangerous in the woods. There are no snakes, no wolves, no bears. Even they don't get along with those who really run the place. If you go somewhere in the woods at night, pay attention to the fact that sometimes someone will follow you. Here you go, shine a flashlight, immediately such silence, even insects do not crack. And behind you, behind a tree, some rustling. You turn around and there's no one there, you shine a light and you won't see anyone. As soon as you turn your back, a rustle, as if someone took a couple of steps, is already closer, and silence again. My grandfather also told me that you can never, under any circumstances, wait for it to come up, much less look at it. He used to say that in his village, such curious people were found in trees, from where they were lowered on ropes, and then drunk off with vodka for a week. Someone disappeared like that, as if through the ground, someone went crazy, and grey hair, so it appeared to everyone. So if you hear a clear rustle behind you and you don't see anyone there, turn your back, take a good look, and, without turning around, go quickly. Oh, this old forest, a lot has happened here. Here we also saw soldiers who did not return home from the war, but they are peaceful, they will not do anything terrible. But suicides are evil, they can easily kill. They can't get out of the forest, here's a new person for them like a fly, which you can mock. Those who drown themselves can easily get into the water up to their necks, and you will think that you are walking through a clearing. They can't do anything above the neck, there's an orthodox cross on it. Previously, the trees on which they hung themselves were cut down and burned, but now they don't do that anymore. So, if you break a camp under this tree, then the deceased will not give life, he will push someone into the fire, he will bring down a branch on someone's head. And if you fall asleep, he will start strangling you by the nose. They're the meanest here. But the innocently murdered and the prematurely deceased are the good ones. If someone drowned in the swamp, they will take the gaping mushroom picker away, they will show him the mushroom in the other direction, or they will jump up the trees like a squirrel, and the mushroom picker will be happy to follow her. So remember, if any animal in the forest is running in front of your nose, it's someone's kind soul that wants to save you. And there are a lot of soldiers here. Here or when you sleep at night, listen. They are also sometimes found nearby, you can hear them singing songs or talking on a quiet night. And if you see them in the evening, build tents at this place without fear, they will not stop at a bad place. And at night, you can even see their silhouettes between the trees. And you can easily fall through the ground here. There are a lot of swamps, but you can't immediately understand. Sometimes two people go, the first one passes normally, turns around, and the second one does not exist at all. In a second it was dragged into the quagmire. In this case, they say that it was the merman who dragged him away, and now he will be an evil spirit. So don't even go near the swamps at night, your eyes will be smeared, so that the swamp will seem like a solid clearing. And remember his name, and here, in the gatehouse, I do not advise you to spend the night. I'm used to it, and you guys, I see, are urban, so it will be very unusual for you. Sometimes at night all sorts of evil spirits scratch at the door, puffing. Sometimes he will knock on the window with a claw or make a noise in the pipe. But keep your eyes peeled from the outside, too. Go to the toilet in some place where there is no running water or swamps. The spirits, oh, how they don't like it when someone shits in their house. They will push, pull, and on the way back they will confuse you altogether. You will not find a halt. They got lost here, often the city is nearby, every rabble runs here. Bandits used to come 15 years ago and throw someone's corpse into a ditch in a sack. It will overgrow with grass, flood with water, and imperceptibly. There aren't a lot of them in the forest, but there are plenty of them along the road. Sometimes they even appear, they catch a car on the road, they throw themselves under the wheels. Restless souls, they are like that, they can't stand the fact that someone else lives, and they have to wander along the road forever. Bandits, it also happened that someone would be brought alive, killed and buried right in the forest, and even poured with machine oil, so that the animals would not be found. So a guy lived here once not far away, he heard someone crying quietly in some places on quiet evenings. I found a place, called a cop friend, they came and really dug up the corpse, which has been lying there for a long time. And the goblins are generally a common thing. You used to walk through the forest, and in the distance, from the black hollow of some old oak tree, a mug was staring at you. And unexpectedly so, pale, eyes huge and black. Just looks and looks. And when you start to approach her, either the branch will crack, or the bird will sing sharply, you will be distracted, and the devil has already disappeared. You can't hide under such trees even in the heaviest rain. The goblin specially helps the tree, makes it spread out, so that the one who hides under the tree can bite something. A man is sitting, the rain is pouring, his ears are itching, he thinks that the rain, they say, drips water on his ears, and comes home and his whole ear is in dots. Or the neck. It was the goblin that bit him. And never go to sleep near forest lakes at all. Suicides when there too. Girls, mostly, drowned. So they will call you there at night. If the guys on the shore are just fine, they'll figure it out, and if there's a girl among them, then right, it's gone, the spirit will be a beauty, she'll say, they say, the water is warm, let's swim, and some fools will take and climb. Here the village was near the forest for 30 years, it was convenient, good mushrooms, firewood, herbs of all kinds medicinal. They would have lived normally, but the evil spirits from the forest came to the houses as guests. Sometimes, the hostess would wake up in the morning, go to the barn, and the cow had almost no milk, and what was left was terribly bitter. And if the udder is also in the blood, then surely some little devils came to drink milk at night. And some of the guests who returned late saw them anyway. It used to happen that a man was walking, and a cat was sitting on the fence, shining with his eyes. Well, a man is drunk, for him any living creature is like a native person. Well, he will come up, call him affectionately as he starts, pull his hand towards him, and see that this is not a cat at all, but some kind of curly and battered skull is sitting on the fence, and not his eyes, but his eye sockets are empty. And his teeth chatter. Only a person crosses himself and there is nothing, the night is moonlit, bright. So we tried not to walk at night. There was a case like this, the newcomers built their house, it was a long time ago, decided to live. They looked like good people, they even made friends with ours. And then they began to come squeezed out more and more often, as if they were dragging stones at night. We'll ask, what? And they'll just wave their hand. Then they told me that every night someone walks through their rooms. There are no footsteps, and the floorboards creak. Sometimes someone will be noticed in the corner, someone is standing there and looking at them, and the owners can't even move, fear has bound them. Or the baby will wake up the next morning covered in bruises. Yes, there were a lot of things until they called someone from the city and they rummaged through their entire basement. It turns out that there was already a village here during the war, so from there all the men were driven to work, and women with children were shot and thrown into a pit. And the house was built on this pit. So they immediately left there, they didn't even sell the house, it was boarded up and stood there, all the kids ran there. Oh, and they told us a lot about this house. Of course, there must have been a lot of shit, but one kid with white temples came running somehow, told how he looked in the window, and someone's terrible shit looked at him from there. The lower half of the mouth, he says, no, the eyes are dented and green, the rags on the face are brown. So after that, the children were forbidden to go there, but who listened? One baby fell from the roof, it was good that it didn't happen, others fell into the floor and broke their legs, who heard the screams from there, but everyone already believed it. Sometimes at night, when there was not even a moon, you would go to the house, wait for the wind to stop, and a quiet moan or cry came from the house. And the dogs generally ran around him on the tent road. If they run with the owners, they bark, as if there were a herd of bears there, and if you get even closer, they howl and run away, you can't call them with any cries. Then the house was burned down, out of harm's way, and this has already happened to me. It was small, they left one at home. Well, I started to cheat, of course, I found matches that were hidden from me. Oh, what a joy. I sit on the floor, set them on fire, and they burn out for a second and immediately go out, as if someone blows out. I laugh, I light it, the match will flare up and immediately blow out, but there is no breath or breeze. I told my parents when they came, they prescribed it, of course, they said that it was my guardian angel who helped me. There was so much going on in the houses. The brownies are the same. It often happened that there were no mice or cockroaches in the house, and at night there was fuss and grunting behind the stove. The cats who had, during the day, for no reason at all, started rolling on the floor, purring and playing with the air, so almost everyone had, apparently, old people like cats. But not everyone had it like that. It used to happen that people's cups in an empty room would fall off the table by themselves, or someone would hit them on the cheek at night. You wake up and there is no one. In this case, they say, it is necessary to ask, for good or for worse, the brownie appeared. After all, he can help and harm if the owners did not pour him milk and did not put it behind the oven. There was another case when a witch was tortured by demons at home. Then the communists ruled, they were opposed to obscurantism, and so that our village had no problems, the residents themselves drove their witch out into the swamps. It was before the war, I wasn't even born then. So, some residents, women of course, often ran to her. Well, one day, after a strong thunderstorm, we stumbled upon her body. I was told that all the windows in the hut were broken, black spots everywhere from the inside, as if someone had burned matches, and the grandmother herself huddled in the corner, dying of fear there. They also say that drunkards and fools have their guardian angels, especially fools who have not committed any evil. There were many cases, I can't remember everything. How many drunks' German shells were taken apart, but none exploded. We have this stuff all over the forest, now at least diggers come, find and hand over where they need to, and this did not happen before. They are harmless, village drunks. And not only them. Here was our case with Vanka the fool. At Easter, people went to church in one crowd, and he got nailed somewhere behind. I was little then, but I remember well. Then it was windy, the rain was falling. And when Vanka stopped to pick something up from the ground, the wind blew especially hard and an old wooden pole, they say they forgot to paint it with some special paint so as not to rot, broke in the middle and collapsed right in front of his nose along with the wires. The fool fell, people immediately rushed to him, but there was not a scratch on him, only his face was all white, like ammonium chloride, even though he was a fool, but he realized how lucky he was. There were a lot of stories about how stupid he was. They said that he was strongly enchanted and he went crazy on this basis. They said that he quarreled with a witch and she cursed him before a normal guy was, one might say, the first guy in the village. There is an abandoned village further away in the forest. Not even a village, but just a couple of half-burned houses. There was a war at that time. Now everything there is overgrown with young, even trees grow through the roofs. No one goes there who went, said that even if there is a hubbub and chatter in the forest, it is always quiet and gloomy in that place, even there are no birds and insects. They said that when you go there, it seems that there are a lot of people there. This never happens in the forest, but there you can feel it. They say, how someone walks between the half-burned walls, watching through the cracks. There's a lot going on in the old forests, so newcomers like you may not be very comfortable here.